I'm going to be installing a shed in the back corner of my yard here, and so I need to create a solid base to put it on. Shed is 7 by 7, and so my plan is to build a box out of 2 by 6s that's slightly over 7 by 7 feet internal dimensions, and then I'm going to fill that with rock and base and compact it, and then I'll add a sand layer, and then I will add 1 foot by 1 foot concrete pavers until they're level with the top of those 2 by 6s. The reason I'm doing this is it'll raise the shed up off the ground level, get it up off the ground so it doesn't get water in it when we get heavy rains, as well as building it up high like that, I won't have to excavate all this dirt and get all this dirt out to put the base down below ground level. So that's the plan. Just gonna clear this area and build my 2 by 6 box, and then I'll show you these pavers that I'll be using. They're right here, 1 foot by 1 foot, about 1.5 inches thick, and I've got 49 of them. So 7 rows of 7 will give me 7 feet by 7 feet. I'm measuring my 2 by 6s here to get them cut, and I just went and measured my pavers, and they're actually 11 3/4 inches square. So what I'm going to do, 11 3/4 times 7, which is the length and width of the base that I'm building. So times 7 is 82 1/4, and then I'm going to add 1 inch into that just to have some wiggle room, so 83 1/4, and then I'm going to add 3 inches to that because the thickness of these 2 by 6s is 1.5 inches, one of those, and then another one, so I have 3 inches, so I'm at 86 1/4 for 2 sides, the front and back, or either side. I've made my marks for my first 2 boards, so I'm going to go ahead and cut those together. All right, and the last 2 boards I'm going to cut at 83 1/4. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and screw this box together. The 2 by 6 on the back is the longer one, and then the shorter ones are going to be fastened right inside those. So the internal dimensions of this box when it's completed is going to be 83 1/4 by 83 1/4, and all 7 of the pavers add up to about 82 1/4. So I'm leaving myself 1 inch of wiggle room. I'm using these Deckmate 3.5 inch exterior screws. I had to put in 3. All right, we've got that backboard fastened. See there, the 3 screws. Flush on top. So we'll go ahead and put the last board right from there to there, and then I'll just move this whole thing towards the back of the fence. I'm going to come in with a shovel and dig out this dirt around this frame and just get this thing to lay level on the surface, because I've got a lot more dirt in the back here than I have up front, and I need this whole thing to be level and also inlaid into the ground, probably about an inch or so. We want to make sure our frame is square, so I'm going to measure the diagonals just to check those real quick. $121 3/4. $122 1/4, so we're off by a 1/2 inch. Take this side out a little bit. $122. $122. So we're perfectly square. Before I go much further here digging, I think I'm going to get some stakes and drive them in to get this thing kind of locked into place before we go any further. We've got some scrap pieces of pressure treated wood here. I think these are about 1.5 inches wide, and I'm just going to take I'm going to cut these into 2-foot sections and cut some points into them, and I'll use those as stakes. I'm just going to start at this corner, and when I get that corner where I want it to be, I'll fasten it, and then I can kind of level everything else based on that corner. That corner needs to come up just slightly to get this level. I'm just using the shovel as a lever, and I'll just lift up on it until I see it's level, and then I'll drive this stake in. These pavers, we're going to want to sit flush with the top of this, like this. So the distance from the bottom of these pavers to the ground is how much base we're going to need to put in. Base, sand, rock. See, sometimes it takes some tweaking to get all of the sides level, but we're pretty close right now. So I'm gonna take some more of these stakes and put another one on each board. So there's a total of 8, 2 on each side. And then I'll start leveling out this dirt here in the middle. You want to make sure these pavers can sit flush with the top of this. So these stakes have to be far enough down so that the paver will sit on top of them. That one's fine. This here is crushed granite that you'd use in like a drain field. It's like that. I'm just gonna pour down probably an inch layer of this just to give it a solid base before I put my paver base in. So as you can see, I've got the paver sitting in there. We're only about 1.5 inches, maybe 1.75 inches from the top. And we've still got to put our paver base and then a layer of sand as well. So I don't think I want to go too high on these rocks. And just so you know, that these rocks, this granite rock base is not necessary. You could do all paver base. But I had some leftover granite from another project and I needed to get rid of it, and I figured I'd use it here. I think it probably does make a better base. So if you have it, it's probably not a bad idea. Okay, we have about 3/4 of an inch before the top of the paver is at the top of that 2x6 frame. So I'm gonna add a little bit more base just to bring up a couple areas that are low, and then we're gonna add about a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of sand so that those pavers are flush with the wood frame. Got to wet down this paver base so that it compacts. You don't want it settling over time and then all the pavers getting uneven, and the shed will not have a stable surface to sit on top of. All right, we'll go ahead and compact one more time. So I'm just taking sand and sweeping it into all the cracks and around all the edges. As you walk around on the pavers, you're gonna see just cracks open up between all the seams as the pavers shift a little bit, and you just keep sweeping the sand over and forcing it in between all these cracks. And you'll notice that as the sand fills in all these spaces that everything becomes a lot more solid and doesn't shift around as much. So that's how it looks after all the sand has been forced in between all the seams. On this side I had about a 1-inch gap that I just had to fill with sand. Everything's level. We're all set to build the shed. So we finished installing the shed. As you can see, it fits perfectly on that base we created for it. So next we're just gonna create a little walkway